throughout. I mean, just throughout the game, going into overtime, a big game for Georgie Bashaniashvili. He had the crowd chanting his name. Andre Curbelo, DeMonte Williams. I mean, everyone involved. It was a great team effort. And then throughout the celebration, when they were cutting down the nets in just sort of a surreal moment there, kind of holding up the trophy for the Big Ten title. Andy, I know you watched on TV. What'd you think?
I mean, there were so many points in this game where you thought either team was going to run away with it. Illinois, of course, in the first half being up 17 at one point, and then Ohio State clawing their way back after their slow start. OSU, taking back the lead for the first time in the game with about 4 minutes to go in the second half. It being tied and Io having that last shot in regulation to try and win the game. Yeah. It going to OT and then back and forth. There were so many moments, where both teams showed what they're capable of. And this was the first real challenge that Illinois has had at the Big Ten tournament. Not taking anything away from Iowa or Rutgers, but Illinois got out to their leads in those games and were able to protect it. OSU, not as much. They were able to come back, and what a game by Washington. It felt like any time he put up a shot, like, that one's going in. And it was like that for a bit. He missed some, but not a lot. And Illinois just did what they've done all season and found a way to win. We talked about those bad performances. We can bring up the Northwestern game or the Nebraska game, or, talk about how they should have won those games by more. But in the press conference, Brad Underwood always said, we found a way to win, and that's the most important part. Even if it's ugly, it's W. And you can see that resilience that they learned and that they experienced in those games show up today when the chips were down and when the Ohio State was mounting a comeback. They proved that they proved and they showed that they can hang on to it and they can win. It wasn't an ugly game. I won't call it an ugly game, but it was definitely maybe in the first half. For the first couple of minutes, it was an ugly game. But they showed that they can win those close games from what they learned earlier in the season. It was really a full team effort. I'm sure we're going to talk about the heroics coming off the bench. Marley, touched on it a bit with Georgie, but really just an all-around team performance, and that's what you need when you get to this point in the season.
Yeah, we'll get into the nitty-gritty in a little bit, but Brett, those are our first thoughts here.
All right, looks a little chilly there in Indianapolis tonight. Maybe the Illini are nestled in all warm into their hotel room as we now look ahead to the NCAA tournament. And this is what this team has been playing for all along, to get to a point where they are a 1 seed. I don't know if any of us could have realistically pinned them as a number 1 seed and the 3rd overall seed in the NCAA tournament coming into this year. But that's where this team finds itself now. It's an incredible run to get to this point at the end of the year. All of these wins in a row, the quad 1 victories, they are well deserving of this 1 seed. And guys, what did you take away from talking to the team afterwards about getting to this moment and then now moving forward?
Yeah, I think the team has made it very clear of their goals in wanting to win a national championship this season, but they really didn't want to take away at all from this moment. I think they were really just soaking it all in. We saw just, it was a comedy special between Kofi Coburn and Georgie Bashaniashvili. The amazing counter. Like, we're going to have to go back and see how many times Georgie had said amazing, which, is the word to sum it all up for all that this team has been through and to get to this point. Really, it truly is amazing. And here I am saying it again after we heard it way too many times, I guess, from Georgie. But, it was fun. Aya DeSumo came in to the press conference almost just different that he had in this whole season. I don't know, I don't remember the exact phrase that he used, Annie, I don't know if you remember, but he said, like, I'm on a different feeling or something right now, because it seemed like it was just like starstruck almost at this moment, just living this surreal moment, and it was a cool moment for him as well, as Aya DeSumo was the last player to go up on the ladder to cut the net, and in that moment they had the selection show going up on the Jumbotron, so Illinois is kind of having their little celebration, but the fans that have stuck around, they're kind of looking up and seeing, and then as Aya DeSumo is there on the ladder, they announce Illinois as one of the number 1 seeds. It was a really cool moment, but like I mentioned, they have their sights set there on the NCAA tournament, but I think they're really going to soak this moment in.
Absolutely. I mean, and you have to for these types of things. We talked about all week how long it's been since Illinois has won a Big Ten tournament, all the way back to 2008 before any of us were even in TV at that point. So they've come a long way, and even in just the last couple of seasons, they've come a long way. In Aya DeSumu's first year, they lost 21 games, and now they almost won 21 games in the Big Ten, ended up with 19 total victories against Big Ten teams. That's 4 more than anyone else in the conference. And you just take a look at where this team is now. You can tell that they are so relieved to have built this program back up. And the guys that it's really personal for, like Aya DeSumu, DeMonte Williams, Adam Miller, the guys from the state who were young enough, but young when Illinois was at this stage last, but old enough to remember it. They know what this type of program means to the rest of the state. And we, as journalists covering it, saw how much it meant when 80% of the crowd today in there was in orange and blue. So you can see that it means a lot to everyone on the team. The guys who are not from this country, Kofi, Georgie, in that press conference, going back and forth about what it means to get to this point of their basketball career in a different country than where they were born. And that is why things felt so different, I think, in the post-game press conference. I think we knew this was coming if they had one, but it was nice to see them live out those moments, that they're able to reflect a little bit at this point of the season and think about what they did well. But we know tomorrow that Brad Underwood's going to be back on them in practice in their little ballroom in the hotel, getting things ready for Drexel.
And especially, too, Andy, after Illinois didn't get what they wanted at the end of the regular season,
That's right.
which was the Big Ten regular season title. And I'll tell you, Kevin Warren did not experience a very friendly welcome as he was introduced to the Illinois stage. When he was coming onto the stage to introduce the team, I mean, the Illinois crowd booed him big time. And here they are kind of proving, hey, we didn't get that regular season title as we predicted maybe they would, to come out and win the Big Ten tournament title. And I think at the end of the day that's almost the better one that you want to get. I mean, they got to do it in front of a bunch of fans.
That's right.
On a big stage. I think if I were in their shoes, I think I would take
The tournament
this one.
title is what you want to win, I feel like. Regular season title is like, yeah, that's great. You get a banner, but tournament title, you're the automatic qualifier for the conference. You're not in that large bid. I think that maybe matters a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Hey, and they're still getting a ring either way. They're still going to raise a banner regardless. This is one of the best teams in program history. And as we talk about amazing, guys, Marley, you asked how many times they said amazing. Well, I went back and put it together. This was just from 127-second clip from Georgie and Kofi. Take a listen.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Amazing, man. It was so great. I can't explain it. It was so great. It was amazing, man. It was amazing. It was amazing. Amazing. I mean, it was so amazing that it was amazing. It was great. Amazing. Man.
Georgie and Kofi were loving the post-game press conference. Aya DeSumu was as well, and you mentioned Io coming in with the trophy and asking for the trophy. This was him afterwards. He posted a picture on Instagram just a few minutes ago posing as Kobe and a couple of different ones in poses after he won his NBA titles. Here's Io on what this meant.
You can bring it, DB, to get this right here. Like, I got it. This what it all means. We put all the work in to, grab this trophy right here. Through my mind, I was just thinking of all the people that doubted us, and I also think about all of the true fans who've been there supporting us through it all. So to be able to really know that like we earned this, like this is ours, it feels good.
He's asking for the trophy, and he got it. Wore it all press conference. You saw Brad Underwood with the net around his neck, and this team owned the moment. I felt like they deserved this for what they had accomplished this season, to play all 20 Big Ten games and get to this point. Guys, how do you kind of sum up here? We got about 4 minutes left of what you saw today. And Andy, even the crowd out there, I'm sure they were excited when you saw them exiting Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, the crowd was something else. It was funny because I was watching the game on my phone outside, like waiting for it, because you know how it goes when you're watching a stream. I mean, it's going to be about a minute delayed. So you start seeing some Ohio State fans trickle out, but I don't know the final score of the game yet because the CBS Sports app, like I said, a little bit of a delay. So I'm like, does that mean Illinois finished it out? I'm trying to gather. And then you saw the mass exodus of Ohio State fans, and that's when I knew that Illinois had won it. And as soon as the Illinois fans got out here, and it took them a bit because, like Marley said, they were cheering on Illinois as they took the stage and booing at times when certain people took the stage. But when they got out here, it was like a party. There was honking up and down the street. I imagine it was much more of a party on Green Street in Champaign, but people out here, the ILL chant was loud and proud, and it was the most amped up that I've seen an Illinois crowd in my time covering. I mean, I know it's only been this year, so I haven't had many opportunities, but the crowd was great. And it's nice to see these fans, finally get this. We talk about, how long this Illinois team has gone without having a team like this, and this is a team that they deserve. And I was really happy to see them, experience that today.
And I think in the stadium, the energy just kind of slowly started climbing until it reached, this peak at the end. It started out, just the game as it was, it looked like, we were at the YMCA on 5 o'clock on an afternoon watching pickup basketball, but it slowly came into a championship game. And just going into overtime, this potential for Io to make that big shot late game. It felt like a March Madness basketball game. This is really what it's all about. The excitement, you felt like the tension building. I was tense. I didn't even. And I'm just covering the team. I'm the media. I couldn't imagine a lifelong Illinois fan that's sitting there in the stands or watching on TV. I think it's an incredible moment for just the fans to come together and unite for this. Like you mentioned, Annie, I'm sure they've waited a long time, but just such a special moment how it all ended for Illinois. You could tell they were so emotional and just like raw. I don't think they ever really let their guard down as much, because it seems like time and time again after, each post-game press conference when we talk to them, they're excited if it's a win, but at the end of the day, to just kind of give you the coach speak that we're used to, but to see them just kind of unfiltered, pure joy, happiness, I think was an incredible moment, and certainly they deserved it after taking home the trophy and becoming Big Ten tournament champions.
You say it was like a March Madness game. I would argue it was like a Final Four game.
Yeah.
The way that these two teams went after each other. That was, two heavyweight boxers going blow for blow. And if Illinois is able to perform like that what we just saw, they should be in good shape to make a lot of noise in the coming month.
Yeah, and they have a chance to be right back here and
That's right.
be right back on the stage, compete here at Lucas Oil Stadium in the Final Four. I asked Brad Underwood how he was going to celebrate the big win. He said some shrimp cocktail, maybe 2, a steak, a glass of wine. Definitely different that they have to do it in a hotel room.
Yeah.
But a celebration deserved nonetheless. I hope he enjoys his shrimp cocktail.
Who doesn't love a shrimp cocktail?
Who doesn't? I don't.
All right.
But
Guys, thank you so much. Fantastic work today. We'll see more from you coming up on the WCIA 3 News at 10 o'clock. Safe travels back to Champaign as Illinois is now looking towards the NCAA tournament, and their first round matchup will be against Drexel. That game is on Friday. Pull this up here for you so you can see at least the first part of the bracket. All right, here we go. I'm going to step out of the way so we can talk about this. Illinois Drexel, that is on Friday, and there's storylines galore here. That will play the winner of Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech. We can only hope we get to see Illinois and Loyola. Cameron Krutwig, their big man. The Ramblers and Illini would be a fantastic matchup. And then the storylines continue in what would be the second round game. Tennessee and Oregon State and Oklahoma State. Brad Underwood's former stomping grounds, was there 1 year, did not have a necessarily great exit with them. The Pokes and Illini could play in the second round. That game would be on Sunday, if that's the case. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching our WCIA 3-in-1 podcast. You'll have more on this on your favorite podcast player. For Marley and Andy live in Indianapolis, I'm Brett. We'll see you on the news.